Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. It is that time once more for our weekly painting progress, and we're going to start things off this week with something that isn't the most exciting, but he needed to get done, and it's a random Ghost Archipelago crewman pirate type. And as I said, he's not the most exciting of models, and I was a bit disappointed with the Archipelago stuff. I thought the crewman models were just a little too drab, a little too plain. Yeah, they work really well with the Frostgrave stuff, but I don't know. When I think of crewmen, I think a little bit more flashy, exciting, interesting. And it's not to knock the quality of the model. It's just, to me, they were a bit of a miss in terms of what they represented. But they are a nice source of interesting parts. So we finally got one of him done. He is joined by some friends. I finally got around to painting one of the Romjager Deathfields guys from Wargames Atlantic. Actually, he painted up really nice, really quick. Can't really see his goggles that I tried to do some lens flares on after copying my brother, but overall I'm quite pleased, and hopefully I can find where I put the rest of the ones that I have. So he'll show up in a couple other videos as I'm painting through some other Wargames Atlantic models. I figured it's about time I got around to painting one of these dudes. But I gotta say, nice little kit. Make great bad guy generic sci-fi mooks, which I'm pretty sure I said before. While I was building them, I also got around to trying out one of the, what is the name of the company? I keep forgetting. RGD Gaming plastic Fauns. These were originally a Kickstarter, and then Wargames Atlantic is helping distribute this stuff. And it's an interesting kit. I will have more on it later this week. This is one of the female Fauns. There's actually male and female sprues, but she painted up pretty decently. My only big gripe is the thinness of some of the parts, but once she's on the table, I think, especially with other models nearby, it's not as big of an issue. And I mean, they're not like they're human anyway, so that's kind of a moot point. All right, what other things did I actually... I finally got around to finishing up this Raging Heroes model. She was from the Toughest Girls in the Galaxy. She was one of the freebie models, I believe. And I don't remember what her name is, but interestingly enough, Raging Heroes went and modified this sculpt, or at least used it as a basis for one of their spider, arachnid, drider type girls in their Patreon for the month of, I think it was May's. I think May was their spider, yeah, because April, I think, was the pirates. Anyway, so I thought, I'm going to try painting her up finally. She's sat in front of me for ages now, so she's finally done. And hopefully this week we will show off the spider version as well and get that one painted too. Been on a bit of a spider kick lately. And speaking of spiders, I think these are actually the only models this week that were models that I purchased and built myself that were, you know, obviously physical copies. Everything else this week is actually 3D prints that I've been slowly working my way through. First up, we've got a Titan Forge Dragonborn from their Titans of Adventure, I believe it was called. And I gotta say, really painted up nicely. I've really been enjoying the pre-supported stuff that Titan Forge has put out. Really nice models, and they have absolutely earned all of the recognition and praise from their community. It's well-deserved. Really nice quality models, and it's cool to see a lot of their other older kits come back in 3D print form. Stick him to the side. Okay, going along with Raging Heroes, we went ahead and tried painting up a failed print of the Spider Queen, who was on their Patreon last month. Let me tell you, she was a joy to try to get off of the supports, just because the clippers that I have for my printer are not the greatest, and I really do need to get good ones because they're past their prime. But yeah, this was all one piece, and then I broke a bunch of parts off in the process, and if you notice up here, there's a missing horn because that snapped off too, and I broke her hand, and I broke one of her shoulder pads, and yeah, it was a mess. But in the end, I think, especially from a distance on the tabletop, I don't see it being all that much of a problem. I think they're going to look pretty decent all together. So yeah, That is the Spider Queen from Raging Heroes. And I want to say they're supposed to slowly but surely get a lot of those releases actually available as physical copies in their near future. So do take a look at their website. I'll put a link down below to their CG Trader, My Mini Factory, and their Patreon page and all that. Okay, next up. Oh, you know, there was one more physical release. I've got a random dwarf rogue assassin type. And I did not do a good job, and he had terrible mold lines, and I feel like I messed him up in the process of trying to clean it, and I feel like he has a Muppet mustache. Something about it just doesn't sit right with me. But you know what? He's finished. I'm content. Anyway, next up, we finished the human... Whoa! As I knock over the camera. I don't know how much longer this tripod that I'm using is going to last, but then again, I'm supposed to be getting a new camera on the phone and all that soon, so it's going to be another joy to learn. Anyway, this is the human form of the Berserker from Bestiarum Miniatures Patreon page last month. I'm working on his transformed hulked out version, and despite the fact that it was a little bit smaller, and I know even Alexia Bestiarum had suggested printing him a little bit larger, I think it turns out pretty decent. And it's not like he's super tiny or anything. I mean, if you put him to scale with other models, yeah, the proportions are a little bit more realistic. But, you know, where's like a Mantic guy or a Frostgrave guy? I think he would fit in still rather well. So if you've got, you know, a rather eclectic collection of models hanging around, I don't think he's going to look too out of place with a lot of the other stuff you may have in your collection. I mean, he's not the most towering gigantic, but like I said, I'm going to print another one anyway, so we'll get back to him. But I like how he turned out. I like his base with the severed arm. I know there's other options that you can print him with too, but he turned out pretty nice. All right, next up we have a random Maker's Colt Battlesmith. And I'm not liking the job that I did on his face at all. And I really should have put him on a larger base, but I didn't. I love his funky backpack. Now, I think a wiser choice would be to go into like Mesh Mixer or one of those programs and probably fiddle with the arms, and I might just do that in the near future as I'm on vacation and have time to do that now, but we'll see. He came out okay. And again, I think it's just I'm annoyed that the base... I don't know why I put him on that base. I just had a bunch of those old Sedition Wars bases and figured, let's put them on something. So that's the Battlesmith from Maker's Colt. And then we got a couple of models from E3CD Designs. So this is from their Tales of the Burning Sands or Burning Empires or something. It was their Arabian desert-themed campaign on Kickstarter. And so E3CD Designs really like to tout the fact that they have single piece sculpts. They're all supportless. You don't need to worry about supporting it. But if you do wish to do that, you do have that option, and they have baseless versions as well. But I figured I'd give it a try, and I screwed up his face. He did have eyes painted, but I do love these desert-themed models. And I'm going to be painting a whole lot more in the near future, and hopefully my brother's going to get that terrain for me. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And then we have another desert brigand, bandit, whatever you want to call them. And you'll notice that there's a whole lot less damage on these models than there were in the past, but I'm still learning how to dial in those details. And then this is from their last one, their Ignis Quadrant Kickstarter, which was all sci-fi stuff, and they had a bunch of alien explorers all as single piece sculpts. So we went with one of the bug guys, and I guess if you play stuff like Starfinder, these would probably be a really nice set of models. They have all the typical Starfinder type races too, so worth checking out. So plenty of little things this week, but then we also did a couple big things. If I can fit him on the screen. There we go. So this was one of the epic boss models that Artisan Guild did, and he's supposed to be like a big undead guy, but for some reason he ended up getting painted in quite Necron-ish colors. Don't ask me why. I have really no idea, but you know what? It kind of actually works. I just could not figure out what to do with his body. It's like not bone, but it's definitely not organic. But it's not like super metallic, so we just cheated and went Necron style. I was originally thinking of doing something like in, bone, like OCR Bone Reaper guys, but I didn't like it. I tried it and it just didn't look good. Maybe I'll try it and go back again and do another one someday with some of the other optional bits. He's actually got a whole lot of variety you can customize him with, but that's what I did. And then we did the Death Knight from Print Your Monsters, and I'm really happy with this guy. He was one of the very first larger models that I tried to print on my own, and despite some really nasty support issues, he cleaned up pretty nice, I think. You can still see some of that messiness there, but yeah, otherwise, I think he really works. I tried to follow the scheme that they had when he was on their Patreon site, and I try to go with that reddish dark scheme, something different. And again, I really dig his weird Geiger-esque veiny bony armor. It's different. It's definitely not your usual Death Knight. And like I said, once I get my LCD screen replaced, I'm going to try shrinking him down and printing him at human size. It should be fun. So overall, I'm pretty pleased with myself. I got a good amount of stuff done this week. Not that I have a single unit of anything finished. Actually, funny enough, when I was painting the Deathfields guy here, I was using him as a test bed for a bunch of the Trader Legion guys from Blackstone Fortress. So hopefully I'll get them done. And I am getting one step closer to finally completing the entire game's collection of models. Slowly but surely. So, like I said, not a bad haul this week. Hopefully all of you are getting your stuff painted as well. Hopefully all of you are staying safe, staying healthy, and staying out of trouble. With that said, this is High Lord Tamerlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.